This presentation is about how to manage multiple compliance regimes. I will outline what continuous improvement is, we go into a possible implementation approach, I will also give you a live example of how this can be achieved, and at the end we go to the benefits of having an integrated compliance approach. So first of all, what is continuous improvement? You normally try to achieve something. You have goals, objectives. Once you have set up your plan to check X cycle according to Deming, then you will soon find out you need controls in place. You need to consolidate your achievements. Otherwise you will never have any kind of effective improvement in your project. You can achieve this with many different ways. One way I would like to outline is with our C3 approach. And this C3 approach is about constructing compliance and control. So first of all, construction, your process framework, your enterprise architecture framework, then adding compliance requirements to this framework, and the last step is then managing controls to make sure you have tracking and visibility of your achievements. So let's take the first look into the construction area. You can construct a process framework quite easily, like a process flow. You have an event, an ongoing process chain, and at least one result. Some organizations adding the responsibility to these processes to get an understanding who is responsible for doing what can add some kind of RACI matrix. Other organizations adding locations or data to it to get an understanding what data is used at which process or which application is supporting which process, or any kind of other technology data, which is the server, the network, and so on for each of the processes. And we can add our own user-defined object. This is what we have done with our assessment questions and compliance. So at the end, all this is stored in our repository. It's a central repository. All is nicely cross-referenced, all the object properties, associations, notation, diagram types, and so on. So that's normally how you build some kind of frameworks. You decompose from one level to another. Then depending on the different compliance teams, the stakeholders, everyone is modeling different ways. Processes, IT artifacts, you can build your frameworks by yourself, or you can use one of the existing frameworks for process, enterprise architecture, or risk management. Let's take to the second step, the compliance. Could be Sarbanes-Oxley, Basel. It's a whole area of always growing number of regulations. And the CFO research found out 70% of the respondents must comply with 5 or more regulations. So what you have is normally a process framework. You decompose in different process levels or architectural levels, and then you have different project teams like Sarbanes-Oxley, Basel, MIFID, different ISO implementation, risk management, and so on. And they have all their own project, their own budget, their own tools, and not really speaking with each other. What we are trying to achieve here is to bundle, to bring all the requirements together, and then instead of bothering the process owner too much, we just focus this and have one compliance requirement or one merged requirement. So therefore it's much less hassle for each of the implementation, and you can save costs. The last part is the control. We have now different requirements. We have external requirements like standard laws, regulation, and we have internal requirements like policies, business goals, any kind of project requirements or risks requirements, critical success factors, KPIs. The external and the internal requirements are cross-related and dependent, of course. And on the other side we have our enterprise model with a whole range of different diagram types and information objects. The next question is how can we now bring the external requirements, internal requirements to the framework? It's a simple answer. We have controls and audit questions. So these are the missing link to make sure you can consolidate your achievement. Let's go into the live presentation now. I would like to show you how this integrated approach looks like. What you can see is a standard process flow diagram with a process called incident management, and I will just drill down to a lower level of this incident management process, and there's an example of a process called categorize incident. So if I click on the properties of this incident management, you can see all the relevant information like a textual description of a process or already mentioned all the associations that are in the background. We can find them here. We can see what is the application supporting this categorized incident, what are the different assessment questions, or the different best practice tips and tricks for this process, what are the compliance requirements. You can find here some ISO 27001, ISO 20000. Similar, what are the critical success factors for this process, or some external documents, could be some pictures, icons, but also of course some audit reports. What are the different organization units supporting or fulfilling this process? What are the different risks that we have assessed during our risk assessment? Or for example, which kind of technology is this process using, server, network hub, and so on. But let's take a closer look now to the assessment questions, to the controls that we have in place. There's one control called all incidents recorded. And if we click on this object, you can see on the right hand side we can assign a task manually, and then ways of defining days to complete, escalate to, and I can assign this task, and then the assigned to person is getting an email. With this email is getting informed that a new task was assigned to him. We can then log into the task tab. We can see all the tabs, all the tasks in different categorizations. We can also go to a calendar view, because all these tasks can also be assigned scheduled. So every quarter, every week, something gets assigned to someone. And within this view you can see your daily tasks depicted. There's also other views, like a status view for all the different compliance regimes. For ISO 20000, for example, I can see all my tasks, either in this case scheduled tasks, also for the risk assessment. So it's pretty much a wonderful way of showing this integrated approach, similar to the MiFID and all the other compliance regimes as well, of course. So you can see your status, if you're conformant, not conformant. But in the dashboard view you have then the graphical representation of this information, again for the risk assessment here. Or if we open the ISO 20000 compliance regime, you can see we have 3 red areas where we are not compliant or conformant. If we click one of those boxes, we can then open this object straight away. So that's one view from a process point of view. Let's take a different view now from a compliance officer. Let's assume we have our compliance regime ISO 20000 here. We have visualized this compliance regime. The brown boxes are the compliance requirements, and the white boxes with a question mark are the audit questions or the controls. You can see the high level and then lower level object requirements. So let's go into the chapter 8, into resolution process, because we can find here our incident management. Here, chapter 8.2, incident management, clear requirement with some kind of textual description. And if we go now to the association, we will find we have an audit question assigned, or at least one audit question assigned. So we can also go then to the processes, and we will find our categorized incident on top here. So that's another view of accessing the same information now from a compliance officer point of view, maybe. And here we have the same incident management process where we have started our last presentation. So let's go back to our presentation. What are the benefits of having an integrated compliance approach? So first of all, you can definitely save costs, because it reduces the duplication and triplication of efforts. You can save time because the different compliance requirement gets harmonized and it's easier to maintain. You can easily get buy-in from different stakeholders. You have hassle-free audit, all compliance records stored electronically and cross-referenced. And according to the Gardner quote, you will spend 10 times less if you're having an integrated approach than instead of having a standalone solution for each of your compliance regimes. I think it's now time for a break. Thank you very much for your attention, and any feedback is more than welcome.